Hi, it's Scott Hamilton again, Rockfile Radio, and I'm on the Zoom overseas with Greg from Big Train. Welcome.
Hi, Scott.
It's the first time we've ever talked, but man, I've been a fan for a long time, and you've been making music for a long time. I mean, you've been in the band since 1990.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Is that like a weight when you get up and start recording a new album? It's like, man, all this history behind me, you know?
I don't know, actually. I haven't thought of it in those terms.
Right.
No, I think it just, I am conscious that I've been doing it for a long time, making music for a long time. And I am conscious that, the clock is ticking and, we need to kind of, keep making hay while the sun shines and all that lot. So yeah, I don't think too much about the distant past, but yeah, I do. It's not that I feel my age, but I'm just aware that I'm no spring chicken.
Well, I did get to briefly sample the new album you have coming out less than a month, and man, it's great. I haven't done a deep dive yet,
thanks,
but it's another great album from you guys. So thank you very much for the music here after the pandemic.
Cool, thank you.
So how did this all come together to get to this next chapter in the band?
So we've been, the last 18 months has been a real major issue for so many people, and of course in the music business, we felt it pretty hard too. So we had 2 tours booked last year. We had US and Canada, and we had mainland Europe. But we kind of watched as, I remember thinking, these are getting a bit 50-50. And then, like 2 days later, it was like, no, these aren't going to happen, and so those got cancelled. Amongst everything else, 3 of our 7 band members decided to leave. That was over kind of a period of a few months.
Right.
And I think broadly speaking, the pandemic has led them to reflect on whether or not they want to be spending their lives on a tour bus and all of those things. And so they decided not. So we were, I have to be honest, we were in disarray, really. So maybe May, June last year, I for the first time in many years, I was sort of thinking, actually, maybe this is maybe this is it. Maybe this is all over.
Right.
And then my bandmates, the 3 of them that were left, rallied round, and basically Nick and Rickard and David said, look, we've still got a band here. Let's just do it. So we, that made me think, yeah, come on, let's put yourself together. So we spent last summer writing. So in effect, we brought the album that we were going to make forward by a few months, and then we had the very clever idea of booking Real World Studios to do it all in the room together in November, and then unfortunately the second wave hit, and we ended up having to, we couldn't fly in Rickard and Nick in, so David and I recorded our bits there, and the others had to do their bits remotely. So yeah, it's been quite a journey making the album. It's been a roller coaster, I think it's fair to say, but it has been for almost everybody in the last 18 months.
Right.
So we feel we're still going.
Now, was a lot of this music written as you were recording? Did you have some songs ready to go?
No, we tend to, for the most part, we write individually. So Big Train has always been really an ensemble of songwriters, even someone like Nick, who joined the band as the drummer, he's writing a lot more these days. He's writing some awesome stuff, and so we are 4 songwriters really, and we tend to write individually, although we there'll be some shared material. But of course, writing is one thing. Writing is about chords and melodies for the most part. Arranging is then at the next stage, and everybody gets totally full on in the arranging. So things take their lives of themselves when the songs are being transmogrified, bit of a bit of a posh word there, but they go through that process where they go from the songwriter's immediate thoughts to the band doing some different things with them, and then they sort of get stretched into shape and stuff. So that's always fun. I mean, it's really good fun when you see what the others are gonna doing with your baby, if you like, and how they tweak it and make it go a different way. So yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a lot of fun making an album. It's a very enjoyable, very rewarding process, and none of us have ever really had writer's block or anything like that. So we never, it's never a stage where we don't look forward to writing or making an album. It's all something we like doing. So it's been all right.
And how much do you miss the stage? Like you said, you had a U.S. tour planned and unfortunately had to cancel it. But are you ready to get back out there and play some of these songs live?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm absolutely desperately missing it, and I'm not really a performing musician. I'm kind of stand at the back of the stage in the gloom playing bass sort of thing. But even I'm desperately missing that, and so if I'm missing it, you can imagine what it's like for the other guys who really do like performing. So it's been very hard for people, and for the crew. There's
that's the worst. Yeah,
it's been brutal for people who have made a career from live music and now have just been stuck at home for 18 months or so. And so I know in the North America it's starting to get back to normal a bit. Hopefully in Europe it'll be we'll be back where you are in the next couple of months or so. But it's still slightly uncertain here, so we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it has been exciting the last couple of weeks to see all of a sudden tour announcements again for the first time in over a year. It's like, wow, there's still quite a few months off for most of us, but it's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
It feels that way, and I think we'll. I don't think it will feel. That light is really completely unobscured until those shows really start happening, and when they do, then I think I think it will be. I mean, obviously a lot of people have died, and a lot of people have lost loved ones, but it's time for us to be able to get back to communal activities as long as it's safe to do so. And I think there'll be a lot of people very keen to get out there and share love of live music, which is something that brings us all together in the rock world and the music world more generally.
I got to tell you, as someone my entire life has spent going to at least one show a month, if not 10 or 20, I get itchy when more than 1 month goes by and I haven't seen a show, and I'm really itchy right now.
Yeah, that's right. We're itching. I mean, I'm itching to play them, and also itching to go and see some people. We've got, me and the wife have got tickets for some shows in the autumn, and yeah, God, God, do we want them to go ahead? It's that, because the great thing about a really good gig for me is that it can touch the individual sort of in the heart, but also it's a communal experience, and it's that thing that you don't get from listening to music at home. You've got it does two things at once, and that's an amazing thing. And if this last 18 months has taught us anything, it's that there are some aspects of life that are extremely precious that we've probably all taken for granted, and hopefully we'll savor every moment that we can. The first time you're at a gig like me, we'll be like, wow, this is great. And I want to, yeah, exactly. But I want us all to pick every detail out of that room and remember it, and just let it become part of us, and try and do that moving forward. It's easy to say because we'll probably all get back to queuing at the bar for a pint and all that sort of stuff, but,
right.
But no, I'm looking. Yeah, it will be great when life gets back to normality.
So talking about the new album that's on the way, did some of these themes that we have talked about that have come up over the last 18 months, did they work themselves into this work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting, really. I tend to write. I tend to hide my feelings when I write, and tend to do songs of a historical, basis, things like that. I have tried to I've tried to change for this album and be a bit more direct, but David certainly just wanted to deal with it head on. There's a song on there called "Strangest Times," and that is absolutely, it's it's in the moment. In fact, my one worry about that one was it was written last summer, and I just thought naively, well, this might feel like history when it comes out, but of course we're still in the middle of these things,
right.
so I think people will find a lot of the references in there will feel very current still. So he wanted to deal with it head on. NDV again, wanted to, his song on there is about the need for us to love each other, not in a boyfriend girlfriend way or whatever, but just generally to in a sort of Beatlesy way, all that sort of thing. So it's it did feed directly that the humankind thing and trying to the feeling that we're better together, and all of those things absolutely came into the making of the album. It's a bit of a hippie album, really, if I'm honest. It's kind of got that kind of 60s vibe about love, peace, and mankind and everything. So, and I'm unapologetic about that. It is it's how we feel right now.
And I think we need a little bit more of those things in the world today.
I think so. And the internet has enabled our conversation today, which is brilliant, but it's also enabled people to spend their lives arguing over tiny things or whatever. Just exactly, keyboard warriors. And I'd sit there sometimes and read people's inner thoughts and think, what are you going to benefit from expressing that opinion and arguing with somebody? It's almost incessant. And so one of mankind's great achievements, and also that lifts the stone up and shows us underneath what we're like, which isn't always great. So I hope we can rise above it. And I think as I say, you get back to that sense of common purpose, really, which is kind of lacking at times in the world.
I think music is the best medium to impart that kind of feeling and knowledge on the public. Honestly, I don't know any other art form that can do it as much.
I couldn't agree more. And there's an interesting point, because some artists, I'm thinking of Roger Waters here, will, with some of it, obviously a big fan, but some of his music recently, it's driving a bit of a wedge between people, or can do. And you only have to read below the line on some of his pronouncements that, it's quite divisive.
Right.
Now, there's nothing, people want to do politics music, that's fine. It's not for me to say otherwise, but I think right now a big group hug is more what the world needs than than songs about political differences. This is what we need, that sense of community and kindness. More kindness, I think, is in order,
and will go a long way.
It's kindness goes a surprisingly long way, doesn't it? Just small moments of kindness. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Bit of a random observation, but my wife, she's on social media or whatever, and I start finding out that she's picking things up from people, some old toys for our kids and grandkids and stuff. And these kind of things have emerged using social media, whereby it's like a big recycling scheme. So, around here, I've got some toys that, anybody want them, or kids' shoes or books, and it's fantastic, and whilst the house is filling up with stuff here, rather, unfortunately, nevertheless, the way that is dialing into both an environmental good, which is to recycle things and not just throw things away, and a social good that you've got people across communities across our town that are just getting out there, meeting people, swapping things over. It's fun. It's awesome. It's absolutely brilliant. And I've gone from just watching that and thinking, I wasn't expecting that, to just being in awe of the people that are actually just reaching out and saying, here's some stuff I don't need, someone else might want it, and off you go. And sure enough, people do. We've got some my next job is to dig a hole in the garden for a big firethorn shrub that my wife's been given by somebody down the road, and that's a great spirit. It's a great spirit of community and togetherness. So once again, the internet, brilliant and awful at exactly the same time.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this. About 3 days ago, I was on a very long road trip through a couple of southern states. And being in radio for 35 years, I have a fun time punching around, listening to all the radio stations that I can get as I drive, hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
And it was the radio station that I actually started my career on. Was running a syndicated talk show, but the woman was talking about decluttering your life. And she kind of said what you said. When you go into your closet and you still have tags on things you've never worn, you have movies, you still have plastic on, you have CDs, you'll still have plastic on, whatever, or toys or whatever. Why not re-gift, reuse, sell, donate, whatever? Let somebody else enjoy those things. And the disc jockey was interviewing her said, I had this wonderful shirt. I took it to the laundry. It was my favorite shirt, but they shrunk it. I left it in my closet for years thinking that's my favorite shirt. I really want to wear it again, but it's too small for me. I eventually took it, donated it, and somebody smaller than me will now enjoy that wonderful shirt. And so you mentioned this a couple days later, and I'm like, see,
Brilliant.
it's
It is, and if that's happening over with you guys, it's happening here, it's happening everywhere, really. And I think it is, as you say, it's a gift. It's a gift of kindness, and these are practical gifts that people will enjoy. And I'm sure, like me, I've got, you've probably like me got things in the wardrobe that we should be getting rid of. But now, rather than go to landfill, we can give people an opportunity to pick them up and to enjoy them for themselves. So it's all good. It's great stuff.
I agree.
An interesting aspect of I think lockdown here, people have perhaps been thinking more locally about their local community and stuff. So there's some, even in bad things like the pandemic, some good things come out, where people start to care for each other a bit more. Let's hope we keep those things going forward.
Fingers crossed. About the new album, it is 2021, and even though Record Store Day moved to Friday a couple years ago and all that kind of stuff, what goes into your mind releasing a new album now? What's more important, the digital files, the streaming, getting the CDs out there, the vinyl? I mean, it's got to be a different mindset these days to release an album.
It is actually, it's a very good question. Because of the type of music that we are, which tends to, I mean, I can, if I look on Spotify, I can see the demographic of our audience. So I kind of know exactly who's listening to us in terms of demography. And, therefore, for that audience, I suspect that there's a lot, we know that there are a lot of vinyl buffs that are really into their vinyl, and also a lot of people that still buy CDs. So in terms of us, being able to turn over as a business, then the physical product is still the most important thing for us. And one of the issues actually we faced with this album was the extraordinary lead-in time for vinyl now. It's like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
So you deliver a master to the vinyl company, and you're waiting 6 or 7 months for those to be delivered, which is because they're just so busy with everybody writing new music, and also the factories are short-staffed, I think,
and churning out some older albums as well.
Still, yeah, absolutely. So it's still, for us, that's still the most important side of it, but we cannot ignore the growth in streaming. And honestly, probably the majority of my listening now is on streaming because it's more convenient. And what's been rewarding is seeing that the streaming companies are beginning to deliver higher quality sound files.
Audio, right?
They're beginning to get up to CD quality now, which is where they should be. But from our point of view, it's as a kind of medium-sized prog rock band, I suppose. All of those, we have to get all of our ducks in a row. We can't rely on any one of those things for our income. So we have to make sure we cover all the bases and deliver our music to people in whichever way they want it. And those will be the high-res buffs that want the 2496 files on Bandcamp, or those that are happy with MP3s on Amazon or whatever. It's not for us to choose how the consumer enjoys our music. It's for them to choose that. We just have to give them the options to, for them to make a decision that works for them. We hope that they will go with a physical product, because we try, and that's what we try to do with our vinyl and CDs, is to make them things that people will want to own, and to hold on to.
Well, because you do spend time on the
we
artwork and the design and whatever else is in the booklet and stuff. Unlike, not that you're the only ones doing it, but you can tell there's creativity and art going on, and that part of it too, which I love.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, everything is thought through, right from when we're starting writing songs. We're talking to Sarah, our artist, and Steve, our graphic designers. It's all, it's all worked on as a piece, really. And like you again, the age that we both are, we remember gatefold vinyl releases where the level of detail and all that, it's important. Mm-hmm. And it makes people want to own those things and support the bands. And so, yeah, we do all we can to make what we deliver in both beautiful in terms of the music and in terms of the physical product as well.
When people ask me about Big Train, and I hate to use this as a descriptor, but I always say they're a very British sounding prog rock band. Is that a good, would you take that as a compliment? Because although there are a lot of prog bands from the UK, I think you guys represent a sound that's reminiscent of the UK, if I could. Does that make sense?
I don't think we disagree with that at all. I mean, the irony is our guitar player lives in Sweden and our drummer's American. But they both of those guys are totally, immersed in sort of progressive rock, from which predominantly, I mean, there's exceptions. There's some great American prog rock bands, and there's some great, one of my favorite bands is Italian PFM. There's lots of great bands across the world, but probably the biggest selling artists were mainly from the UK, I think. So they're kind of immersed in those worlds themselves, and I mean, I remember Nick saying to me many years ago, listening to us is like sort of driving down a country lane in England, and it gives that sort of imagery, and we're not going to resist that. That is a big part of our appeal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had emails from guys that have been sat in their car in Australia and all over the world, and it allows them to connect with a different country, a different culture, and I find that really moving. I think that's great. I think it's lovely that it creates these images for people, and those are images that they like to associate with us. So no, we don't run away from it. We're not flag wavers. We're not gung ho, but we are very comfortable that we're rooted in kind of that sort of British sensibility of 70s music.
It's just the vibe I've always picked up. I'm a huge music fan, music head. When I started the two internet radio station, I've been in FM radio most of my career, but the US market is going in a nostalgic direction. And I know that's fine for making money, but if we don't support up and coming artists, new artists and such, where are we going to be 25 years from now? When the current crop of artists die off. Yeah. So I started two internet radio stations. The first one was to play with prog, because I was going to Porcupine Tree shows or Anathema shows or Opeth or whoever, and they were sold out. People were buying merch, and not one radio station in this country at the time were playing it. And Spotify wasn't a thing yet. And it's like, there has to be somebody supporting all these bands. And once, it was on the air and the European record labels found out, you'll play our stuff. I started getting, a deluge of bands that I had no idea that progressive rock in the 21st century was even more diverse and creative than it was in the early 70s. I was just blown away, because I was so entrenched in what was mainstream. And so now 9 years later that things have changed as far as the internet and how you can put out music. It's a wonderful, wonderful kaleidoscope of bands from all over the world evolving music, and I think it's great. Some are doing it heavily, some are doing it colorfully. but I think you guys are a great brick in that new path that we're creating, that you kind of pull from some classic influences, but your own sound, and you're moving things forward. And that's what my two radio stations are targeted at. So thank you for being part of our playlist.
Oh, thank you. I mean, thank you for playing us. I mean, it's so important. It's interesting. We've done some research into how people discover us, and it's again, the routes are just multiple, and it will be radio stations, internet radio stations, it's Spotify, you name it. There's different ways that people find out about us. So no, thank you for for picking up on us and for playing our tunes. We couldn't ask for more.
What is your favorite song on the new album?
Right. So I think if I had to choose one, I'll go with Apollo, which is the instrumental, which is on side 2. And I just think that's a cracking piece of writing from Nick. Really, it's one of those. I mean, I've been doing some playthroughs here at home just to kind of learn the material properly, and it's just great fun to play. And so I can't wait for us to play that one live. I think it's really it's a really cracking piece of rock music, and it's an instrumental as well, which is nice. It's something that prog rock is known for. So that's probably my favorite. But I like, I'm very fond of the album as a whole. I think it's a good, strong journey. I'm hoping it's one of those albums that people will put on and want to listen through to the very end. So let's see how people respond to it in the next month or two.
I got to tell you, I'm still a fan of the album experience. I mean, I'm a radio guy. I love singles and I love a great song, but I love an album. I love sitting down for 45 minutes to an hour and getting lost in the lyrics and the imagery and the production and all of it. And again, I really enjoy sitting down to your album. So
thank you. I mean, it's the sort of what. I mean, I did something earlier today, and I was on a car journey. I came back in, and you end up sitting on the drive to finish off the album, don't you? And that's how it should be, really. It should be that people are writing something that sits together as a holistic release. The album is the rock's art form. It's rock's great contribution to world art, and one of the downsides of streaming, I think, is that there's a lot of focus now on individual songs and all that, but in the rock world, the album will still always be king for me. And I think it's important that artists, when they're making albums, make them as a statement. It should sit together. It's not just a collection of random songs. It's a statement of art, and that's what we've tried to do with the new thing.
I was going to say that most artists can save that for the inevitable greatest hits album, if they wanted just a collection of songs.
Yeah, of course. And there is a place in the world for the greatest hits album.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you want to dive into, that's cool. But I think when it comes to those individual albums, it's simple things like track order can make a huge difference as to whether or not the album sits as a holistic piece of art. And we spend a lot of time scratching our heads and making sure we get things right, to create that situation where a guy will sit on his drive and wait for the end of the album. That's what we're trying to do.
I think that's a good goal, and I love it.
Thank you.
Well, Greg, thank you for taking the time today. I know you probably have other conversations to have, but this has been great, and I would like to do it again. Matter of fact, if you can reschedule the U.S. tour, let's do this face-to-face.
Oh, yeah, cool. Well, we're it's I think it's being announced in the next week or two. So all the dates are booked, and so we'll be let's make sure we do you and the band face to face. It'd be good. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, good luck with the album. We're going to start playing it, and we'll pound it as much as we can, and I hope it's as successful as everything you've done so far.
Appreciate it. Thank you, mate.
We'll see you out there. Thank you, Greg.
Take care. Speak soon.